We'll allow running questions. That is questions in the middle of session. You can just raise your hands and we'll give you mic access. You can ask whatever you want to ask. So just try to make use of that as much as you can. Ask whatever you want to. We're all here to help. That's about it. I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Also, if you do get running questions, be sure to leave them in the chat along the way. Yeah. We'll just wait for a few more, exactly 5 minutes, and then we'll start. Thanks.
Chat is disabled.
Sorry, what was that? Thanks. So everyone, welcome to Learning Blender from Scratch. This is an event which has been in the works for 2 weeks, and now we are finally ready to unveil it to you. Thanks a lot for joining us. We have 50 participants, which is great. So let's just jump right into it. So this event is a partnership between the Kuge Gamer Clan, the open source community, and OSS, the 3D and VFX club. We have all collaborated because Blender is, after all, a 3D software, and it comes together in these fields. I'll just talk a bit about Blender, about what this is, and we'll directly get into the meat of the interesting stuff. So just wait for a bit, and then we'll go on thoroughly. So what is open source talks? Here at Open Source Talks, we try to give you basic tech knowledge on software in the realm of open source. We have already had a talk about event on learning all about Git, and this is our second software we are talking about, Blender 3D. Yeah, so let's get right into it. What is Blender? Now, Blender, this question will be explored thoroughly in this topic. You'll know what exactly it is, how to navigate it, how to do special functions with it, and all that. So is it a 3D software? It's a physics engine, compositor, coding, and scripting. Now, what you'll see on screen right now are very complicated terms. And we artists and Blender users have a tendency just to talk these terms again and again. So at any point, if you have any doubt about these terms, be sure to unmute and ask them out as we pause our talking for a bit, right? Yeah, thanks. Now, I'll just talk a bit about the history of Blender. Blender is a 3D software. It is open source, and it is completely a non-profit organization. It was started by this man, Ton Roosendahl, in 2002, who aimed to make something like a game engine, but ended up making a 3D software. And he has been so in the works and brought out this company from bankruptcy twice. So what he initially wanted to do was release Blender on blender.com. But the issue is that it was already taken by a market which is selling actual kitchen appliances. So he settled with blender.org. Now, the thing is, when you put a .org in your organization, it has to be something of an open source non-profit type of deal. It can't be a commercial operation. So that's how he stuck to the spirit of Blender and started it. So that's Ton Roosendahl, the man who made it all. He's the CEO of Blender Foundation also. Now, blender.org is free and open source, and it's hosted on the license of GNU GPL, and anything you make on it belongs to you. It doesn't belong to anyone else. And it has been increasingly part of the industry standard of 3D software, and it has become very mainstream because of the many millions of people who download it and the community which has been built around it. It has become the part of the industry, and I'll talk to you a bit about what the Blender Foundation does. So the Blender Foundation is a public benefit organization, and it helps manage the blender.org for the functioning and development of Blender. There are many people who contribute their own money and put it out there to the Blender Foundation to help improve and develop the thing. And that ensures that what end users want always gets developed. It's not to the profit of the 3D software manufacturer. Instead, whichever features we need, only those get developed. Okay. There are many patrons of Blender, like many big companies like Unity, NVIDIA, and Amazon, AMD have all supported Blender. They have somehow integrated many of these 3D programs like Unity or NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel have helped in the development of Blender such that it's optimized to their machines also. Many other things like Adobe have also released websites like Mixamo and other asset-based websites which help in 3D artists create more with Blender. Yeah. There are many individuals and YouTube channels which also donate some of their money as non-profit to Blender, and they make streams making those money also. Thanks. So what is Blender to me? Okay, I want to become a game developer in the future. For that, I think the main thing which interests anyone to a game is their concept art, in my opinion. When you see a game and look at its art, which is breathtaking, that's what I want to do. I want to make concept art and game art. Here are some of my works I just wanted to show. So you will get an idea of how to get to this point today. That's my goal in showing some of my works. I try to concentrate on more space like surreal or landscapes which are more atmospheric, which you can see some of my art through. Here are some more of my art which I have made. And now we'll talk about the main speaker. Before that, just a few key points of what we're going through today. What is Blender? What is the scope of Blender? How we get started with Blender, and after getting started, we'll learn many of its features and tricks and tricks of the trade, which can help us with our workflow in the 3D environment. And then we will get to how to improve your learning after this talk, what tutorials to visit, how to go through that road. And then the most important thing as an artist or a 3D developer, how to get inspiration from other artists. Now I'm going to shut up now and take it to Dhruv. This is Dhruv's artworks. He's also very incredible in making amazing landscapes, and this is some more of his art. He's very good at modeling, at hard surface modeling also, which you can see, and also in graphic design. So now over to Dhruv. Dhruv, you can go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Pratyush. Guys, before I get started, I just want to say that this is like actually my first ever talk. So my heart rate is at like 120 BPM, and I think it'll go well. So if I fumble in the middle here and there, just chalk it off to me being just a noob at all of this. All right, don't hold me to all of that. But I hope that the next 45 minutes or so, I'll try to keep it short, is interesting.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can you switch on your cam? We are eager to see you, right?
Unfortunately, I don't have that facility available right now. So you guys will have to imagine this void speaking to you. You can only hear me. This is so narcissistic, right? Like for the next 45 minutes, all you get to do is just listen to me. And so much power I hold in my hands now. I'm just playing. Okay, so Blender, very interesting. I shall share my screen, and maybe Pratyush can give me a confirmation on if that's working.
Yeah,
Pratyush,
your screen is visible. Yeah, go ahead.
The screen is visible. All right. So Pratyush has given you the rundown of what Blender is. Pretty cool software, a lot of cool people, all open source, good stuff. All right. So this tutorial isn't like meant for you to follow along because we have 40. Come on, guys. It doesn't matter that. So I'll be showing you stuff, and what it's meant to do is basically. When I was starting off, there's a donut. There's this one bloody donut which everyone makes, and it's like the passage rights to learning Blender. And once you make that, you're in the state where you know what Blender sort of does, and then you also don't know where to go from there. And that's where a lot of people are stuck, and that's where a lot of people give up. So I don't want that to happen, because I gave up like thrice before finally picking up the software again, complete spite and frustration, and be like, yo, I'm gonna learn this thing now, and then I actually stuck with it, because after failing three times, it becomes kind of like a thing on your pride and ego. Like, how can this one piece of software not do as I'm saying? Okay, so enough of me just blabbering. I mean, like there's 40 minutes more of that left, so all the best. But yeah, if you open up Blender, this is basically what you see. This is called the viewport. This is also the viewport. These are like the layers, and this is like the properties section, right? And this is Blender view. No, this is not it. Wait, hold on. So what I'm trying to say with this is basically what Blender looks like when you open it up. It's very complex, but once you know your way around it, it's slightly easy. Hey, is there somebody on mute? Do you want to say something? Mods, can we have that person muted, please, if they don't have anything to say? Thank you. All right, so you open up Blender. This is what you see. Cool interface, cool stuff. Let's go over everything over here, not in detail. Don't worry if you don't understand what's going on, because if you do, trust me, there's something wrong with your head. Nobody understands it the first time. But what I'm hoping to do is like give you sort of a feel of where what is, or where what does, and yeah. Okay, so this is the default cube. Okay, so once you see this, your instinctual reaction should be to press the X button and delete it. That's basically what everybody does, and then you bring the cube back because you realize, oh shit, I need the cube to actually model something. Everyone goes through that. 1 second. Am I still audible? Give me a sec.
Yeah, you are audible.
Cool. All right, my Teams was acting a bit funny. So yeah, this is Blender. This is called the viewport, the thing that you see. Why is it called the viewport? Well, it's like the portal through which you view the 3D scene. Very smart, I know. And this is called the outliner. If you're familiar with software like Photoshop, basically anything with layers, Figma, Illustrator, you would have noticed that there are layers for different things. Like you have rectangles and then you have circles on top of that. You'll see those different objects. This is basically what this does. This thing over here. The top, wait, this is right? Yeah. The top right corner over here, this is where you see the different stuff. I can prove it to you. You don't have to believe me for anything. I'll show you, all right? You don't believe anyone. People lie, okay? Everybody lies. This is the light. How do you know it's the light? Because it's selected. If I click away, it's not selected. Who knew? Click it again, it's selected. So this is the light. This is the cube, and that's the camera. And yeah, you can probably tell when you render something, what you do is like take a snapshot. So what's essentially happening is you're saying, yo, this is the camera, right? Tell me whatever the camera is seeing, like sort of like this, but like not like this, but this is just to show you what's happening. So this is what the camera sees. And when you hit the render button, you're saying, show me what the camera is seeing. I want to see that. Cool. So this is basically the scene collection. It shows you everything that's in your world, and it allows you to organize stuff. Now, if you're a monster and you hate yourself, you can just ignore all of this and put everything all in the same layer. Or what you could do is organize your stuff. You have a collection called Studio, where you have the camera, the lights, and the stuff that people put in studios. And maybe you have your objects on a separate collection. How do you make a new collection? Well, intuitively, you just right click and you say, I need a new collection. And it makes you one. You can move the collections around. It's basically like any other software. You don't have to specifically remember this. That's the outliner. This is something that you will really like, because it'll tell you what's being selected, what's not being selected. You can hide stuff over here. Very useful. So just don't worry if all of that went over your head. Just remember that this is where you see the outline of whatever's on your screen. Cool. What is this monstrosity? Well, there are a lot of panels on the side, so it must be important. It is. So this is basically the properties of everything. Remember, you can select stuff over here. The thing that you select, you can alter its properties using this thing. That makes sense, doesn't it? So let's say you have the cube, right? You can change the properties of the cube by going to different icons over here. Each of these icons, they mean something. What do they mean? Don't worry about it. Not that important right now. You just need to know that they mean something, and to change the properties of this object, you need to come here. Each of these things, they mean something. To change this, what is this? What is selected? What is selected? You can see in the outline thing over here. That's all. That's all you need to know. Now, how am I moving my camera around? Well, I recommend having a mouse, because if you're doing this on a mouse pad, well, you can't. But if you're still somehow able to, then I have huge respect for you, and I also won't hang out with you, because you're a monster. Use the middle mouse key. Key? It's called a key. It's more like a button, but are button keys? Most keys are buttons, right? I'll call it the middle mouse key. All right. The middle mouse key. You press that, and if you press and hold, you can move it around. Simple enough. How do you zoom out, zoom in? Well, you scroll. That makes sense. How do you pan? Pan is basically you just hold it and you just move it directly. That's called panning, right? This is moving things around. This is in the 3D. You rotate it, you pan it, and then yeah, those are basically a view controls. At first, probably for the first half an hour or so, you'll be struggling just panning, moving things around. It's just yourself around basically, but it gets easier. Trust me, it gets easier. Okay, now you're done with that. You're done with this. What else do we need to know? We need to know about the panels. Yes. So there are a lot of things everywhere, and all of these things have this tiny little icon. I don't know if you can see it. This thing. Now, if you notice, what's happening is when you click this, let's say you click this, it opens up this thing. You click this, it opens up the same menu. Wait, what if I click this? It opens up the same menu again. Now, the observant amongst basically all of you, would have noticed that all of these menus are the same. Why is that? Because Blender works in this really cool way, right? All of these things are just panels that you can resize. You can do this, that too. And let's say you want, I don't know, 2 of this. You can do that. Maybe you don't like that. You can bring the properties back. You can maybe you don't like the timeline. You maybe want another 3D viewport over here. You can add things here. You can move things around. You can do what. Listen, it's your life, okay? Don't let me be the one to tell you what to do. Live your life. Just motivational sessions with Dhruv. Yeah, 45 minutes of just me saying you can do it. Yeah. So, but now it's a mess. You don't like this. How do you resize it? Don't worry if everything is like messed up and stuff. Okay, this is normal. You will fuck up a couple of times. Let's pretend that I didn't say that. You'll mess up a couple of times, and then you will want to fix things. The easiest way to do that is close the application, turn back on, everything's fixed. Or you see this corner thing over here? It's probably it's all dark, but you probably can't see it. But there's this thing, this crosshair thing. That means you can select stuff over there. If you click and you move down, you can see this thing happening. This thing gets darkened and you see an arrow. That basically means the top thing would eat up the bottom thing, like that. Now you don't have that bottom thing anymore. Everything's your 3D viewport looking clean. Cool. All right, so those are how your panels work. If you don't, again, if things went over your head, don't worry about it. All you need to know, these are your objects. These are the properties for those objects. Everything is just a panel. You can specify what you want each thing to look like. Okay, cool. We're done with that. What are these things on the top? Modeling, sculpting, UV editing. Well, if you remember what I just told you like 5 seconds ago, I mean, that is if you're not a goldfish, all of these are basically the same as just your layout over here. What they're doing is just rearranging this for you to make certain tasks easier. That's all. It has nothing to do with, well, I lie, it has something to do with modeling. The reason why this is called modeling is because the smart people at Blender, smarter than all of us, I'm sure, because the software is fucking incredible. What they do is they have set up the scene such that it is optimized to do this particular task, that is modeling. So, I mean, in theory, you could just turn this into a compositing place, whatever compositing means, don't have to worry about that. Or you could take it back to 3D editor. The only difference is that it's under the modeling tab. It's just easy for you to, if you want to do some sculpting, you can come here instead of going here and changing it to sculpt mode and getting the same thing. So it's all one and the same. All of these panels, they're just the same thing. It's just different modes turned on for each of them. That's something I wish somebody told me when I started, because there are so many buttons, dude, and all of them do something different. And it's like, where do I even start? What does it all mean? What is the meaning of life? Questions that, just it doesn't make sense. You shouldn't think about that. All you need to do is just design stuff, okay? Don't worry about how things work. Just design it. That's it. I mean, you could worry about how things work. That's how people make software like this. But right now we are learning about how to make art. All right. So again, recap. Your objects on the scene, your properties for those objects. Don't worry about what all of this is. You'll probably pick it up eventually as you watch different tutorials. And also I'll go over a couple of these because they're fun. And these are just presets for different layouts of your setup. And yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. What do we have next on the list? Give me a second. Properties, object, and edit mode. All right, cool. Now we're getting into the meat of the stuff, right? How much time do I have left? Great, I didn't turn this on. Cool. So nice of you, Dhruv. I guess let's set it to 35 minutes. 35 minutes seems good. Won't want to bore you any more than that. 35 minutes. All right, we can work with that. Okay, cool. So 35 minutes to go. Let's go. Okay, so this is the cube, right? This is the cube which we deleted first and then we brought back. How do you change the cube? like it's cube. Cube's pretty interesting. Like it has cubey things on it. Like it has vertices and it has sides and it has edges. Very cool. I know, very interesting. How do I edit it? Like how do I make it a cube that's pointy on the top, like a lamp cube, like a lampshade cube thing? You do that by going into edit mode. So now, before I get into the edit mode stuff, I want to make one thing clear. This is the object mode. You see these things? These are objects. These are objects that you can select in the object outliner thing. This shows you the objects, right? The edit mode shows you the object naked, if that makes sense. It goes inside. That sounds wrong. It shows you what the object is made of. Much better. Like if you press the tab button, the tab key. Before that, hold on. Let me fix one thing. Can I screencast keys? Let me do screencast keys on. Can you see? Yeah. Okay. Now you can see my keys. I should have done this before. I'm sorry. So yeah, hold shift and middle mouse key, pan, middle mouse to rotate, and yeah, that's the good stuff. All right. So let's go back to edit mode. Select the cube. That's the object you want to edit, right? Press the tab button. Tab, and it takes you to this. But what the heck is this? You see these things. These are vertices. Vertices are cool. You can select more than one by pressing the shift key. Basically, how it works on Windows as well. And let's make a cube pointy. All right. Let's make a pointy cube. So you select 4 vertices, and you would notice that this face has this slightly orange tint on it. Why is that? Because if you select these 4 vertices, you're basically selecting that one whole face, right? So now you can edit the face. Here's where the magic starts. Blender gives you some really cool tools to edit the objects with, right? Some of them, those which you'll be using very often, is scale, rotate, inset, loop cuts, and move. I'm pretty sure you remember probably the last two of what I just said. In simpler terms, you can make things small and big by pressing the S key. Scale. You can rotate things by pressing the R key. Very smart, I know. R for rotate. Cool. Then you can extrude things by pressing the E key. That's cool. Now we have this modern art looking thing. Probably sell this for like as an NFT for a couple of million, you know, Blender NFT, probably be rich. Now I have to worry about going to university again, you know, living the life. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by my fantasies. So you can 1 second. Let me mute my phone. Sorry about that. Very professional, I know. Cool. So you have this, right? You can, like I said, you can rotate stuff. R, scale, S, extrude, E. Makes sense so far. How do you move something? You move by pressing the G button. G is basically, don't think of it like move. Think of it like grab. How do I grab this? Well, I press the G button and it gives me this. Cool, isn't it? So I can grab stuff. I can extrude stuff. I can scale stuff. I can rotate that stuff. And now we have modern art. Right, cool. So this is basically what the edit mode allows you to do. You can get into it by pressing the tab button, get out of it by pressing the tab button again, get into it, pressing the tab button. I think I'm repeating myself. Yeah, so scale, S, rotate, R, extrude, E. What else am I missing? Loop cuts, cool. Before you set out modeling, there's one rule of thumb you must always follow, okay? Make sure whatever it is that you're making has 4 sides to it, only quads. You shouldn't have triangles. You shouldn't have weird polygons, just 4 sides. That's it. Why? Because Blender doesn't like it. I mean, game engines, they break things down into tries. So what they do is basically just they cut this into half, they cut this into half, cut that into half, get triangles out of it, and render that stuff. But Blender doesn't like that. And why? The reason's a little too complicated. Don't worry about it. But just remember the rule of thumb. Make sure you always have four sides on your this. Sure, when you're being like super hacky and you want to get stuff done quickly, you can ignore these rules of thumb. But when you're getting started, it's good to have like good practice. Another thing you want to avoid is this. You see this? This is a little. It's a little too obtuse, if that's the right word. You can see it. You can't see it properly. How do I help with that? Let's do this. There's something called a matte cap, right? Press the matte cap button, and it's sort of the object you're looking at. It gives it this weird color, if that makes sense. So you press the button, and you can select from like a different, like completely. You have so many options to pick from. Spoiled for choice. You have all of this stuff. Cool. I'm getting a bit bored, so let's get to something that's kind of interesting. Okay. Let me get some water. All right. So all of this basic stuff is probably stuff you'll pick up from beginner tutorials, Blender Guru, Donuts. It'll get you there. So first step, get your modeling down. And you might want to write this down because I have bad memory. Modeling. Make sure your modeling skill is down. How do you learn modeling? That is one tutorial, which is like really good. I'm probably kind of trampling on Pratyush's ending part where he goes over the resources, but this is I need to tell you guys about this one. This annual tutorial, it's kind of old. It's very old actually. It's like almost 5 years at this point, but it's the best modeling tutorial you'll find. This man, he's a legend. He goes, his name has, if anybody deserves to be called the guru of something, it's him. All right, Andrew Price, amazing guy. Go through this tutorial. I'll drop the link. Just make sure you do this. All right. Even if you skip the donut, which I really recommend not doing because it goes over the basic stuff that I was going through, but in more detail, do this. Once you do this, you can model stuff. And once you can model stuff, you can make cool things. Case in point, well, let's make a ship. Why not? So you have this weird standing diamond turd looking thing. Let's minimize this for now. Let's open up something more interesting. So remember the ship in the promo material? That ship started off like this. Looked like a flattened piece of bread that some kid ate out of from here, or maybe a deer that hangs on somebody's wall, like that. But what this is essentially a bunch of extrudes, rotates, and scales. That's all it is. You don't believe me? Good. I'll show it to you. For that, I'm guessing most of you guys, you are on your, what do they call it? Laptops. So you will have to enable this thing called emulate numpad if you don't have a number pad on your side, like I don't. So I'm handicapping myself on purpose here by not using another keyboard. But go to the Blender preferences. How you do that? We'll go to edit. On the top, you have preferences. And you can go to your input. All right. Emulate numpad. Why do you need to do this? But remember, I told you something about the viewport. This is basically what you see. Now, when you're designing stuff, you probably want to have a look at it in a more, I guess, 2D isometric sense, if that's the right technical term for it. Orthographic, yes. What does orthographic mean? Basically, everything is geometrically accurate. All the angles, everything is, nothing skewed on the basis of perspective. So when I press the 1 key, you can see exactly what it looks like from the side. Doesn't look very appealing, all ships look like just flying dildos, but it doesn't look very appealing. What you have over here is a proper representation of what your ship looks like. And you can go to edit mode by pressing tab again. And let's say you want to make the butt of the ship look bigger. Sure, everybody likes it. So, no, I mean, it's up to preference really, but you can move things. So yeah, now your ship has a bigger butt. Impressive. Cool. So yes, I was telling you how to get started with modeling and stuff. Well, there's this thing called a 3D cursor.
What is the use of the numerate?
The what?
Numpad. We had
Numpad.
just the preferences input. What is the use of that?
Absolutely. So let me turn off the screencast over here also, so you see exactly what I'm doing. All right. So when you press your emulate numpad, right? It basically emulates this thing. Hold on. See this? Some of your laptops have this. Some of them don't. But you really need this. Why? Because there are a lot of hotkeys, and Blender is full of shortcuts, right? You will want to kill yourself because there are so many shortcuts in Blender. Trust me. I advocate for that. That was a joke, by the way. For legal reasons, that was a joke. Don't kill yourself. But you will want to. That's all I'm saying. If you don't have an numpad or a keyboard that has one. So this is like sort of a make-do solution for it, where you can emulate the number pad by just using the number row key on the top. So when you press the 1, what happens is it gives you sort of like a side view, like this. When you press 2, when you press 3, it gives you the front view. When you press 6, it gives 7, it gives you the top view. And when you press 9, it gives you the bottom view from the top. So the number pad is basically responsible for, moving between different fixed views that you need. Because sometimes, you won't be freestyling stuff. You'll have a reference picture on the back, and you'll probably be modeling on that. Let me show you that. That was actually a great question. How do you make stuff with the reference pictures? You can Google how to get in reference pictures from okay, so all you have to do is just like how to, no, Google, I was not talking to you. Shut up. Okay, how to import ref pics. See, this is one more important thing. When you don't know what to do, Google it. If there's something you're looking for, let's say there's something you want to make, the grill of a car, you might not find it. You might not find it in car tutorials, So you might have to look up on YouTube how to make, I don't know, how to make fences or something, like wired fences. Not in. Wait, but is my internet slow? Probably is. So my point is, break things down into simpler parts. If there's a grill that you want to make and you can't make the grill because the tutorial doesn't have it, look up something else that is vaguely similar to what you're looking for and use that technique they're using over there into this. That's not cheating. Trust me, it'll feel like cheating. You'll hate yourself for doing it, because I still hate myself for doing it. But the thing is, over time, that stuff that you're learning from watching these completely unrelated tutorials that are technically related because of that one specific thing you want to get done, you will pick up a lot of stuff. And eventually, you might not be Googling things that often. Once you're done with, like, once you know the 20% of the stuff, that's what you'll use 80% of the time. That's all you need to know. Google things, look up tutorials for unrelated stuff. You don't know something, look it up. No shame in it. It'll feel bad. But that's basically, convince yourself that you're learning, because that is what you are doing. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. All right, so yeah, reference image. They'll teach you how to do it online. I don't have to tell you how to do that. That's the whole point. You can get it done. And once you do that, I'll show you. 1 second. Probably going over a bit. 20 minutes. I just ate up 15 minutes like that. I had to rush through all of this. What's it called? Was the Hellcat? Probably. Yes. Okay. This. You see this? If you're working for a client or something, or maybe you want to model something on a real world object, you'll probably look for something like this. This is exactly what I was showing you. Madhava, you were asking, right? What does that numpad do? It shows you these different views: the front view, the back view, the side view, and the top view. All you have to do, man, is align this picture in such a way that this top lines up with this front lines up with this front, and once you make your model, just by looking at these three views, you'll end up with a car model that looks exactly like the 3D version of the Hellcat. Case in point, I have it. I've spent some time on it. I don't know if it's this one or this one. 50-50. Let's see if I'm lucky today. Well, my computer it hates me. Ah, yes. Okay, beautiful. Maybe I can see it. If I go 1, I can't. That's sad. Not here. Okay, but the point is, like, if what I did was I took this and I overlaid the picture of this thing behind it over here. Imagine that over here. Then I went to the top view, or the side view, and then I overlaid this picture over here and sort of modeled the whole car on that. That's how I came up with this. That's how it worked. That's basically it. That's why you need a numpad. That's why you emulate it. That was a very long-winded answer for something that was kind of, I find it was interesting. I'll admit it.
Dhruv?
Yeah.
You said you use those that side, front, and top view for modeling it. Did you like trace it and then like extrude them and use those intersects and delete the rest, or what did you do?
Nope. I'll show you exactly what I did. So all you do literally, man, is like make a plane, right? And then I guess what you were saying was you sort of, okay, I'll show you. Where's the car model? Hellcat. Where's the Hellcat? Yes, where's Hellcat? Please be this one. Please be this one. Hellcat groomed. What was I thinking? Ah, yes. So this is the shipyard where, oh my God. Yeah, so this is basically the spoils of war. If people tell you that they come up with like beautiful designs right off the bat, they are lying to you. Don't believe that shit. Never believe that shit. This is what it looks like. You have so many failures. This is so sad to look at. But what they'll post is they'll post shit like this. I'll tell you. I'll show you. I'll show you. Okay, I'm guilty of it. It'll be all, you know, all chill about that stuff, and they'll be like, "Yo, I made a Hellcat. How sick is that?" Nah, bro. This is what it looked like behind the scenes. This is where it came from. So this is what you're asking, right? Yeah. So this is what I did. What you do is you make a plane first, and you sort of extrude, and you get it to this part. So it sort of lines up with the front of the car. Then you change your view to the side, and then you extrude that plane like this. You take those vertices and extrude like this, and then you start building this side of the car. Then you reach here, so and you go up, and then you say, well, I need to make the roof again. So you go to the top view. One sec. You start extruding from here, and you make the whole plane from this. So that's basically what happens. Or you could just do separate planes for each, and you can make that stuff down. If you want to know how to do exactly this, I'll tell you where I ripped this technique off of. Okay, this dude, he's called Artsy Gamer. I think if that's his name, if that's still his name. Car. No. How to make car in probably changed his name. I think it was this guy or someone. Or just look up one of these tutorials like this one, how to model a car in Blender. This guy's, he'll probably go through the same thing. What they do is they start with the model, they make a plane, they start extruding it on different look, they have a plane over here, they start extruding it, and then they take it to the different axes. They go to the side, and they continue it over there. This gives you the front, and then you go to the side, and you continue that from the side. That's basically it. Simple as that. Okay, so that's your car. I think we'll have to rush through the rest of it because this is taking a lot of time. Rendered wireframe object. Okay, cool.
We are going to make an Xmas tree, right? Is it true?
I don't think we are making anything today, man. The time is really short. I have 15 minutes. I'll just be basically puking out all of the experience and information I've gathered in some time that I wish I had when I started. That's all. Okay, so modifiers. What are modifiers? Why are they useful? Modifiers are really useful because it gives you the ability to add detail where there is no detail. How? This thing. This looks so complicated. It looks so cool, doesn't it? It does. What is it? Look at it carefully. It's literally the same thing over and over again. This. It's the same thing. So all I had to do, I'm not even joking. It took me like an hour to get done with the modeling. You make one kind of sort of detailed looking thing. You set up an empty and you rotate around that. How do you make this rotation work? YouTube it, Google it. But the thing is, you can do something like this. You can get so much detail out of just little arrays. If I reduce this, you'll see exactly what I mean. This looks like shit. Now it looks so much better. And that's what I've repeated throughout the whole thing. These tiny things, this is just a torus. That's basically a donut that was so flattened that it became a disc. And then I took cylinders and cut holes out of it using the bevel modifier, and I arrayed the same thing around. That's all. This hexagon, remember the barbed wire thing I told you about, the fence? That's what I used over that. This, an array as well. How did I make these cables? Looked it up, YouTube. How do you make cables in Blender? First result, that's how you do it. So just have a clear vision of what you want to make. And even if you don't, go with the flow and look things up. Just keep looking things up. Okay, next, how do you make things look good? Okay, I'll be skipping over the basics of modeling because I cannot do it justice. Blender Guru's annual tutorial, just go through that. It'll probably take you 3-4 hours if you just sit on it continuously, and you can get it done. But the point is, you start with something that looks like shit, and you end up with something that looks sort of like this, and looks very interesting. Now, when you render something first, it looks like absolute garbage, dog shit, trash. You can't post this online. It looks, bro, if you post this online, people will start unfollowing you and won't talk to you again. So you don't put this shit online. What do? You look up videos of how to make things look good, and they're like long ass videos, 3-4 hours, talking about composition, colors, and all of that stuff. Bro, what is the important stuff? Like, what do I need to know to make it look good, like right off the bat? All right, I'll tell you. This is what I found out. All right, listen, there's these things. This is that we had behind our classmate painting book, bro. It actually makes sense. This stuff's interesting. I'll tell you why. Monochromatic. You can't mess this up. See, bro, listen. Never have something that's oversaturated in your render, just as a rule of thumb. As a beginner, you will not be able to pull that look off. So don't have it. Never have it oversaturated. It'll make things look fake. Go with tones that are similar to this, desaturated, kind of, subtle. Nothing that's too overpowering. Don't go for something that's like super bright, super vibrant, like fluoro. None of that shit. It's bad. These look very complicated. Which do I pick? How do I know what to pick? You get it through practice. There's no easy answer for this, but there is a cheat sheet way of going about getting good at this stuff. How do you do that? You pick you go to your favorite movie scenes, all right? Go to your favorite movie scenes and like, yo, what color did that dude use? Wow, I should really keep my cursing at bay. What colors did that dude use? All right, this stuff. This is monochromatic. It's basically one color. What they have done over here is just vary the shade of it, and it looks so cold and looks so nice. Over here, what is this? This is basically this analogous. Use colors that are close to each other. That's all. And the third one, which I want you to use, is complementary. You can't fuck these things up. This is just it's very hard to mess up just using monochromatic colors, using analogous colors, and using complementary colors. One thing to keep in mind when you're using complementary is never go 50-50. If you go 50-50, your art piece will look like ass, like bad. So have one color that's 90-80% of everything, and rest just have a bit of it just to highlight the important stuff. It'll bring up things, bring out what your subject, your focal point, a lot better than just having a 50-50. That distribution doesn't look good. What do bad colors look like? Well, I don't have an example for that here, but what I can show you is the next important thing: composition. So just to recap this again: monochromatic, stick to one color, vary the shades, vary the intensity. That's it. Analogous, pick a color, look at the color wheel, stick to the colors that are close to it. Vary that, you'll get things that look good. Complementary, pick a color, go to the other side of the color wheel. It doesn't have to be these colors. You know what I'm saying? These are too bright. You can sober them up, or you can make them more brighter, depending on what you like to do. But roughly, they should be on the opposite sides of the spectrum. This is more of a split complementary. Basically means you take one color, take the sort of opposite colors, and you put them on. This one, again, complementary. You have this. How is this complementary? This is gray. This is the bluish kind of gray. Over here you have oranges and blues. My favorite combination. Goes really well together. Now composition. Example of terrible dog shit composition. This. What even is this? I made this so long ago, and it looks like it's trash. Okay, never makes stuff that's full of so much going on. Where does the eye go? The eye wants to follow this line over here, trails off to nothing. Bad. You have this focal point, but this has like nothing that leads to it. So much noise. Not good. The colors are cool, but nah, this just looks bad. This, on the other hand, again, this sort of like a complementary kind of thing with what's it called? Split complementary kind of thing, where you have blues and like greens and a little bit of red. This, why does this look appealing to the eye? You see these lines? They lead to the focal point. You see this? You see these grid lines at the top? They sort of work with this, and they kind of go against this. So it gives it that sort of going inside feel, if that makes sense. And another example of composition that's okay, but not that good. You have things fighting for attention. This white thing, it's kind of just there. This thing in the middle, this could be the focal point, but this is fighting with it. It looks okay from afar, but it's like probably 6, 7 on 10. Easy. Just have something that has one focal point in the middle and everything that draws to it. It's very hard to mess this up as a beginner. Go full frame, or just have something that's really simple and direct all the attention to it. Have lines going towards it, or just have that as on your center, and things will look good. How much time do I have? I have 6 minutes. Okay, I can do this. Don't go for complicated stuff. I tried going for the golden ratio. As a beginner, ignore all of that. Chuck that out of your mind. Don't want to worry about any of that shit. This, bad. It looks all right, but I thought like this would be like a swooping line, and you're like the golden ratio, cool, and all of that stuff. Doesn't work. This is what you want to go for. Have something that draws your eye in. This is a good example of having complementary colors and also lines that bring you to the center. You have these subtle cues that take you to the center of this piece. You also have like good complementary colors, the oranges and the blues, and then you have this very muted background. Everything works well for this picture. It's probably one of my best renders. I like it. Done. So to summarize everything, don't go crazy with the colors. Go monochromatic, complementary, split complementary. Don't worry about this. These are very hard to pull off when you're a beginner. When will you get good at this? Through practice. Just put colors on a screen, see what works, and eventually you'll build that intuition for what works well, what doesn't. That's it. Over here, monochromatic. It looks so pleasing. This is a render I made for a presentation. It looks pleasing to the eye. Why? The colors just work. They're easy on the eyes. It looks nice. That's it. Summary of this: don't overdo it. Noise, bad. Simple, flowy lines. Focus on the center, good. As beginners, that shit works. That's all you want to do. Don't make a complicated scene if you don't know what you're doing. That's all. What is the software I'm using? It's called PureF. Get it. It's good for Blender because you can make like a tiny division on the side and you can place this inside and it's nice. Okay, so I'm gonna minimize this now. Okay. How do you fix this? This is probably what most of you people face. Can I fix this in 4 minutes? I'll see. Let me get some water. All right. Cool. So how do you make this look good? First problem, the lighting is shit. Don't use the sunlight unless you know what you're doing. So remove that. What you need is good sense of lighting. How do you develop a good sense of lighting? That's a very hard question to answer. And honestly, I don't think I'm qualified to answer it. So Pratyush will be giving us recommendations for good YouTubers to go to learn that stuff. But it's as simple as mess around. You will eventually develop an eye for seeing what looks good and what doesn't. You'll be like, nah, that doesn't look good. And then eventually through trial and error, you'll put it off. It'll probably take you 3 hours at first, maybe 4, 5, heck, 6. But over time, it'll take less and less effort and less thinking. You'll just know, if I put a light here, probably might look better. So what are some shortcuts to easy dramatic lighting? Light from the bottom, light from the top, or give it like this slanted sort of light. How do I do that? But let's get rid of this monstrosity, the sun. Ugh. Nobody likes the sun. Dark mode for life. Ceiling lights. Ooh, that's nice. How did I do this? Remember the modifiers I told you about? There are a lot of different modifiers available. Mirrors, arrays, and different stuff. You don't have to worry about that. Once you do tutorials, you'll get good at it. I'm making use of the array modifier. What does it do? It just duplicates the object. Remember the arc reactor? Same thing. This time it's linearly happening with light. I gave this an emission material. What is a material? All of the objects in Blender, they have sort of different properties about how much light bounces off, what kind of light is reflected, and like how it looks like in the render view. You can sit down and learn all of this stuff. It'll take a while. But if you want really good looking results instantly, you can just YouTube that stuff or get an add-on. Write this down. Blender kit. See this? Let's type metal. Set it to this icon, which means materials. All free. You can import these materials onto your objects, and that's what they look like. Isn't that cool? I don't recommend this for like beginners when you're learning stuff because it'll spoil your habit. It's good to make things from scratch when you're starting. But if you're short on time and you just want things to look good, this is a good alternative. This is probably what you'll be using a lot of times. Yeah. So, okay, we fixed the lighting. It looks dramatic, but it still doesn't have that oomph. That's because the scene is kind of messed up. Now you might want to get something called an HDRI. What is an HDRI? Well, it's this, the skybox. You probably play games. It is sort of like a map of the sky and the environment, which gives like your scene lighting that looks realistic, because this is realistic, so the light that comes in will be realistic. That's how it works. Or for this scene, I want to go even simpler than that. What I'll do is I'll just make spaces black. There's no light anywhere, so I'll just make this dark. Okay, so there's no more of that gray stuff. It looks better now, but it still lacks that punch. What do? I turn on volumetrics. What is volumetrics? Fog. Think of it like fog. How do you get volumetrics? YouTube. That's it. What do you type? How to get fog in Blender. Literally as simple as that. Imagine the scene, the kind of scene you want. Break it down into different parts. See what part you need, what part you know how to make, what part you don't know how to make. and Google the stuff that you don't know how to make. That's what everyone does. And eventually you'll end up with this. A pretty cool looking scene, if you ask me. It's not perfect because you know for a fact that this over here is just a weird donut, you know, basically piercing the horns of a deer's skull. But when you turn the lights off, everyone looks pretty. Wow. Yeah. So now let's render this. All right. This is the rendered view. What does the rendered view mean? Well, I guess Pratyush can tell you a little more about this because I'm basically out of my time. But there are two render engines in Blender. One is Eevee, the other one is Cycle. Eevee is sort of like a real-time engine. You know, game engines, they use real-time rendering. That means the results, the frame times are very fast. It can happen at 60 times a second, 60 FPS. Cycles, on the other hand, is a ray tracing engine. It's very fast. Now in Blender 3, they had this huge generational leap, which Pratish will tell you about again. But yeah, I guess that's it. So let's look at the camera. Remember I showed you the camera when we were looking at the cube? Now let's look at the camera. You press the 0 on your numpad and it looks like this. Well, it looks all right, but I guess you can center it a little bit and make it look good. Still it looks like a toy. How do you fix that? Now, if you're familiar with taking pictures using a camera, you might be familiar with depth of field, focal length, f-stop, and all of that good stuff. Blender is basically making your own world and being your own photographer in it. You go to your camera and go to see the properties tab. You see this camera over here, focal length. You want to make things look dramatic? Just pull that back a little bit. It looks so much more bigger now. That's not how I meant that thing to come out. But
Blender is basically making your own world.
So yeah, that's basically your scene. You like it? Yeah, it looks all right. It looks pretty cool. And I press the render button. See if the number of samples is okay. What is samples? Samples is like Cycles uses. It renders everything once, and then it sort of removes the noise by doing more calculations on it. So the higher number of samples you have, the better your result comes out looking. But then again, it has like diminishing returns. You don't want to keep it like super high, because at that time you're just bullying your computer. Like over here, who said to do 1499? Just have it at like 350. That's more than enough. The denoising is really good. Heck, I'd put it at like 250. Done. So you press the render button and it renders. I'll take a little bit and okay, I'll be stopping this right here because I don't want my want this to take like 2 minutes. I'm out of time anyway. I guess what else do I have to cover? Something interesting. Composition, yes. After you're done making your render, how do you make that render look good? Not a lot of people know this, but there's an option called the compositor. You want to look into this. You can do color balancing. You can do distortion. What does this do? Dispersion. I'll show you. Am I audible, Pratyush? Can you give me a heads up on that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Cool. So dispersion. You have a lot of effects. Blender's compositor can do some really amazing things, like some really cool CGI effects and all that stuff. Over here, I'm just using a simple dispersion and a color correction thing, color balance. The dispersion basically gives it that lens kind of feel where you have the colors breaking out into the rainbow kind of effect that you might see in the real world. So it makes it look kind of more realistic, but yeah, that's it. So you can look this up. How do you do it? How to make my picture look cool, Blender, compositor. That's what you type. You find a lot of videos, you do it. Main takeaway. If you see these art pages with like really beautiful looking renders, it comes after like a lot of practice and a lot of failed attempts, and nobody likes to show their failed attempts. So
know that everybody's Googling stuff, everybody's looking up shit constantly, everybody's taking materials from elsewhere. The scenes they make, half of the stuff is bought from asset stores. The only thing that you should keep in mind is the objective of your project. Do you want a scene that looks good? Do you want to learn how to make a scene that looks good? Is it really necessary for you to make and model each and every thing? Is it really necessary for you to make and design each and every shader that you're using on all of your objects? Is it cool that if I just pull a couple of shaders from Blender kit, will that work? So those are questions only you have the answers to, depending on your product and your constraints and all of that. Knock yourself out. Blender is fun. You'll probably give up a couple of times. I gave up 3 times myself. And then I picked it up again, like I said, back in spite. And I'm decent at it. I can find my way around with it. It didn't take me long to do that. I've picked it up again after 6 months and I'm still okay at it. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you get on it, unless there's a huge major update, you won't forget how to ride it. And yeah, the basic principles of this carry over to, drawing, like colors, composition, photography, having lines and like ratios and all of that good stuff. It's all interconnected. And once you have a sense of design and style, you can apply that to even writing too, making your articles, blogs, and everyone likes something that looks good. Eye candy is nice. That's what Blender can do for you. It can make your already cool looking presentation even better, just because now you know how to model something in 30 minutes that nobody else could think of. You can visualize your ideas. When you start looking around in the world, you see your laptop's charger, you see a cuboid with 2 cylinders sticking out of it. You can break things down into the simpler parts very easily. And all of that won't happen right off the bat. You'll have to work on it for months and give up a couple of times. That's part of the fun. And yeah, that's it. I've probably gone over my time, and I'm surprised if you guys still listening, but that's about it. Google stuff, man. The internet is so cool. That's basically all my secrets. Just make things look good. Copy other people who know how to make things look good, and then people will start copying you. That's about it. That's my time, and 5 minutes over it. Pratyush, over to you. Thank you. Pratyush, you're mute, man.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Dhruv. That was incredible, honestly. And now I just have a few things to share about what you can go ahead and do, and how do you build upon those skills. So I'll just share my screen now. Can you see my slide, Dhruv?
Oh, yes, I can.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, so I just want to say this is the best time to learn Blender. There has been such a huge generational leap in Blender. Blender 3 was just released. It makes it so that your laptop can run Blender. It takes a lot less time to render your final image. It has a lot of optimization so that it's not very heavy on your laptop. It has incredibly advanced topics on physics and geometry nodes and stuff. So and there are tutorials pouring in from YouTube, which I'll be talking about right now. So if anything, right now is the time you should start learning. I mean, after FAT exam, obviously, but yeah, right now is a time where you should start learning about Blender. So I'll just talk a bit about tutorials. He mentioned Blender Guru a lot, okay? And obviously he's the OG and he's one of the best teachers on YouTube also. His resources are almost always free. So go check him out. He's releasing Blender 3 tutorials on the donut. Make the donut. And after that, you can go check out, you can do this. I would suggest it is enough if you learn Blender Guru. You can also see CG Geeks. He does a similar thing with it's not Blender 3, but it's almost the same. Like he did it quite recently, so that'll be fine. He did it on a cupcake, or ice cream. So yeah, that's also fine. If you're if you're the kind of guy who watches those Java in 1 hour or 5 hour tutorial kind of person, sit down at one time and finish it, then I'd suggest CrossMind Studio compared to Blend. while Blender Guru does a series, Crossmind Studios does those 1 hour or 2 hour long videos in which he goes through everything together. If you're one of those people, then Crossmind Studios is your guy, but I'll stick to Blender Guru. And after you're done with your first tutorial series and you've made a render, what do? You find inspiration. Start watching short movies you like. And I will tell you creators who mostly work in Blender and make amazing stuff, okay? Like, seriously, these are so good. And more often than not, they are the only people working on it, and they give such a high production value, it's almost impossible. So yeah, first one is Ian Hubert. Every Blender user probably heard of him. And he he's making a short series called Dynamo. He has also worked in a lot of Netflix projects. He mostly deals with sci-fi dystopian kind of worlds. That's amazing. Another guy is CG Matter, and he makes tutorials. Along with that, he makes fun videos about like volumes and counting and stuff like that. I did mention one person here who is Captain Disillusioned. He makes stuff about more science and educational related stuff in Blender. And another filmmaker is Jama Jurev. He has worked on concept art on so many major movies like
Excuse me,
Dune. Yeah. Tell me.
could you please repeat again the last person who is famous for the Blender? Someone.
Yeah, it
Key.
is Captain Disillusion. So okay. I will, in the main team's general channel of open source, I will share links to all these people. Okay, so you can one-stop reference where they are. Okay, Captain Disillusioned. Okay, I'll actually go slow. I thought you just okay. And Jama Zero, he makes amazing. He has made concept art for Jurassic World and many other movies like Dune and stuff. So he's amazing. He released a short film called Irradiation. It was so good. Like, only few people, 3 or 4 people worked on it together, and it was really good. So yeah, so you guys can go check that out on YouTube. Most often that not, I'm recommending stuff you can actually watch on YouTube. And more inspiration, like Blender Guru, along with his tutorial series where he teaches beginners, he also concentrates on a little bit more advanced topics. So I'll talk about that a bit. These advanced topics can range from making very detailed models. Like, so Blender Guru was inspired by The Last of Us, and he tried the Last of Us game and tried to make, this abandoned house. And one more person like that is Curtis Holt. He makes amazing cinematic renders of so cool things, and his composition and lighting are always on point. And yeah, and so I'll get back to Curtis Holt in a bit. So,
Yeah, Pratyush, I think Datta has a doubt. Okay.
Yeah. Ask away.
Yeah, Datta, you can unmute yourself, man.
Yeah. Can you just keep those links in the chat because I'm not in the group?
Yeah. I'll just 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. So yeah. If I have written it down, I just need to include some more links. Okay. I just need to include some more links, and I'll put it in the general. Just give me a few minutes, all right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, man. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but yeah. Okay, Curtis Holt, I'll get back to him. Another different group of people who you should follow on YouTube are these YouTubers who are game developers, okay? So Thomas Brush and Danny, they make so fun. Thomas Brush is a bit more serious, and Danny is a bit more like a meme troll trash type of thing. But yeah, they use Blender to model stuff and then import it to their respective game engines to develop upon it. Like 3D modeling is such a huge part of game development that every indie game developer just uses Blender, because it's free and it's so easy to learn at this point. So Danny and Thomas Brush, they are amazing game developers. Though they mostly deal with Unreal and Unity, they also get into Blender. Yeah. Now Blender open films. Okay. Every time there's a generational leap in Blender, they make a short film and release it. Okay. And these short films showcase what improvements are done. For example, Coffee Run showed an improvement in a tool called the grease pencil, which can be used to make 2D 2D drawings and 2D animations much better. Sprite Fright recently, after Blender 3 was released, Sprite Fright was released by the Blender Foundation, and it showed how geometry nodes work so amazingly. All right. Earlier on, Blender didn't used to have a very good fire simulation. Okay, but they improved on it so much that in 2016, when they released Blender 2.8, they released this movie called Sintel, and it was basically a story about a dragon, and it had such amazing fire simulations. Another incredible movie, which was directed by Ian Hubert, Ian Hubert, was Tears of Steel. Uh, it is a much more realistic movie about a very dysfunctional relationship. So yeah, so these are funded by the Blender Foundation, and a lot of filmmakers and artists work on it. How do you, after learning the streams and getting inspiration, come over to Oasis? I'm from Oasis. I'm the vice president of Oasis. So I'm just advertising my club right now. Yeah, we try to make weekly streams if things go all right. Mostly from January after FAT, we'll be restarting those streams where I go over some of my artwork and teach also. We'll be going full on with that. So yeah, that's Oasis. And then follow us, because we are artists. We don't have that many followers when we see like other artists on Instagram. We are somewhere in the low tier of Blender artists. So yeah.
Tell me about it, man.
Yeah. So yeah, do us a favor and follow us on my YouTube, my Instagram, Dhruv's Instagram. We try to post regularly. And then here are some of my favorite artists on Instagram, 3D artists, Hulib and Sideways FX. They make amazingly atmospheric stuff, so I love their work. Yeah.
Could you please also share the Instagram links in the chat box?
Everything I've made a note here. I need to add 2 or 3 more links. I forgot about those. I'll post it here. So I'll put it as important also, so that you guys don't miss. Okay. Yeah. I'll just send it. I just have to click on the send button. So yeah, be tuned for that. Yeah. Hulib and Sideways FX. And this guy is my favorite Blender YouTuber actually, because sometimes if the concept is too advanced, there is a tendency of tutorial makers to skip over some steps. He never does that, almost never does that. And his stuff is so cool. I just need to go watch one tutorial and make it in my style. I need to work on it for 4 or 5 more hours until it doesn't look like crap. And Ducky 3D is the best at giving tutorials. Yeah. And Curtis Holt is similar. He makes tutorials and he talks about many current topics related to 3D. Like he does a news segment type thing and talks about many developments. He also has his own add-on in Blender. Like he released add-ons are basically softwares you add to help with your thing. And it's called Bygen and it's really good. It's a paid software, but I don't download it just yet. He has other great content. Another guy similar to him, Derek Elliott. He also makes tutorials similar to Ducky 3D, and you can check him also out. He also makes these news segments where he talks about recent developments. Bad Normals is an incredibly funny guy. Amazing. I'll share the link of his also. So how to make cinematic renders with Blender. Amazing tutorial of how to steal from movies and stuff like that. Yeah. So thank you. That has been me. Before we go, I just want to say I started Blender this April, and with 6 months I've been able to like make 1 minute. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So this is my Instagram. My initial stuff, like how Dhruv told, it is completely wrong. It like now also there are a lot of things I'm missing initially, but I made it a point to make something every week and post it out here. Even if it is bad, people will not judge you on Instagram. They will not write mean comments. All right. Especially if you're asking your friends to follow you at first, they will not do that. My goal is obviously to become a game developer, and I also make music. So I want to make incredible cover art for that. Like some of my favorite electronic artists like Slander and Elenium have incredible 3D art for their cover, for the album cover. So that's what I want to do. So yeah, so check us out. And that has been the talk. So thanks a lot for attending. I can see thanks for sticking by through the entire thing, and I hope you understood something. Now, this is first of a partnership with open source, and we at Oasis also have several ideas coming up for Blender talks and Blender events. We will also be continuing this partnership with open source to make much more advanced tutorials and competitions, which we are yet to plan. So next year is going to be a blast when it comes to learning render. Also, our socials are in the open. Contact us on Teams or on WhatsApp for any doubts you have or you have started making or how to go ahead. So yeah, that has been it. Okay, I'm Pratyush and I'll be signing off now. Now, if anyone has doubts, I'll be taking that and I'll be posting that, the links right now. So you guys can interact with me, Dhruv, and other people from open source and OSS are also here. So you can talk with us right now. Yeah, thank you. Dhruv, anything to add?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I just wanted to say this was an awesome opportunity, and I know I fumbled a couple of times here and there.
Yeah.
I said some stuff that probably should have been bleeped out, but I need to. Hey man, you live and learn, as they say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was really good experience, and for that I'd really like to say thank you to the open source community at VIT-AP, and also the OSS Club, the Kugemo Gaming Clan, and basically everybody else, Vijay, Dadadya, you, Pratyush, all of us, and the guys behind the scene people, man, they really stellar job. That's what they do. And this wouldn't have been possible without them. That's about it. That's all from me. If anybody has any questions, I'm ready to take them up. If not, we can close this session and enjoy our Sunday. Bro, guys, I'm so happy that you guys took the time out of your Sunday right after Christmas to come here and just listen to me ramble for 45 minutes. More than that, actually. This is really a good learning experience for me also. Hopefully you took away a couple of things. And yeah, that's about it. That's all from me. I'm signing off.
Just a small thing to tell. I'll just share my screen again.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so here I have posted links. So about this talk, open source has its website where it has made all the information condensed into one place. So you can go here and watch our talk, and we have some links there also. Here are mine and Dhruv social. So go check us out. Really helps us if you could follow us. You can join OSS through these teams and our Discord. Here's the links. And about my inspirations, Blender
Can
Guru.
you please see the team code to join open source teams right now?
Open source teams, yeah, I'll put that right now. Okay, yeah, I'll put that here right now. Like Blender Guru, Captain Disillusion, Ian Hubert, Curtis Hall, Bad Normals, everyone's links are here. So that's where you go to, those are the YouTubers we follow. And remember, guys, these are YouTubers. They have to upload consistently. Many YouTubers do. Many of the YouTubers I mentioned here, except for some obviously, who make tutorials, upload almost twice a month or once a month. So they always have newer content coming out, and it's incredible what the community is. Another place I would recommend to post your stuff is Reddit. There's a subreddit called r/blender. So there also you can post your stuff. I mostly do it on Instagram. I am not active on Reddit. So yeah. Also there are other places like DeviantArt, ArtStation, where you can find incredible art. So I'll put those links also. I'm just getting more and more links in my head. So yeah, that has been it. Okay. Yeah, that's the only thing I had to improve. Thanks, man, Balaji. Yeah.
Yeah, bro, what is the team's code for open source community
Yo,
to
between
join?
you and me, the teams for open source community is not very active. Well, the place you want to be is the Discord server, and if you're on that, that's basically where most of the action happens. So I think the link for that is already included in the stuff Pratyush is uploading. So if there's any questions you have, you can just feel free to drop it there. Be cool.
Aditya, just post the link for open source's Discord. I didn't put that in actually.
Okay, that'll be done.
Yeah. Anything else? We can stop recording, I guess. If you want to take doubts or you want to say anything that doesn't want to be recorded now. Yeah. Any feedback on this one?